Hi guys, Ron here and welcome to the workshop. Today we'll be building our first Colnago V5Rs. Now, if you follow our content here or on Instagram, then you know that the Y1Rs is one of our most popular bikes, particularly this year. And the reason for the birth of this V5Rs is the fact that the owner liked his Y1Rs so much that he decided to give it a lightweight twin as well in the same colorway. Speaking of the colorway, I think the World Champs edition is quite a bit nicer on the V5Rs. The graphic is, I really like this geometric fade with the rainbow colors in there, so yeah, that's pretty cool. The front of the frame, the head badge, is the same as on the Y1Rs. And yeah, it's just a pearl, really nice pearl white underneath. So really elegant looking frame. And as you know, this is Colnago's latest lightweight, slightly aero road bike, and it hasn't been used that much for the season. Only in the classics, basically, where it's aided by the large tire clearance and probably increased comfort over the Y1Rs. And I think that makes it a really good choice for a lot of regular everyday riders as well. If you're okay with the rather aggressive geometry, that is, of course. But some people prefer that, including myself. So it might be a good thing or not so good thing, depending on your preferences. So, what's new with this bike relative to the V4RS? To be honest, I think the V4RS was a nice bike, but not extremely competitive in terms of aerodynamics or weight. And this bike undoes a lot of that handicap. So the frame weight is now on par with the Tarmac SL8, which is one of the lightest options. Perhaps not as light as the latest Cervelo R5, which is more or less a direct competitor. But yeah, you get a nice overall package, and it's all been updated. So you've got these, well, at first quite traditional looking fork blades, but if you look at them from the profile, they're really narrow and truncated airfoils as well. So that's new. The head tube has been slimmed quite a lot, including this gusset area. The fork is now equipped with a D-shaped steer, and as you can see, we're not using the standard hardware here. I'm not really a big fan of the stock Colnago CC1 handlebar. It really is quite expensive and bit of an awkward geometry, plus it's really flexy as well. That's probably the reason why nobody in the world uses it, even though they're a sponsor team. And yeah, this MV SES Pro is what they use instead. And this one is actually one of my favorite bars. Really nice geometry, super stiff as required by today, and available in a wide range of sizes. Made in the US as well, which makes it a really high-end premium product and a really high-end price point. But yeah, it's super cool with the bold MV branding as well, and just performs really nicely. So to fit this onto the Colnago headset, we of course have the 3D printed headset transition, which is available from MV now officially. Previously, these things were only available aftermarket, but nowadays you can fit the excellent MV in-route products to various other bikes. I had them on my SL8. I will use this on my gravel bike. It's available for Pinarello, various Colnagos, and a ton of other bikes basically. So really cool system, really good bars. Another thing, it comes of course with the bars are the spacers, so you can adjust your stack height. You can even potentially use this bar on a bike with not fully integrated routing, because there's a thing called the bypass spacer in there, which enables you to route the brake hoses from the outside. Then yeah, you've got the computer mount, obviously, And in addition to the V5RS kit, compared to all the other bikes, basically is this custom headset cap, which is offset, as you can see, because of the D-shaped steerer, so you need to move the tightening bolt out from the center line towards the taper, so this will be a bit of a cool detail here. Due to the D-shaped headset, we're going to use, of course, a D-shaped proprietary steerer plug or expansion plug. It really is nice and long in case you would want to fiddle around with your stack and your fork position. And as for the proprietary hardware, that's pretty much it. This is quite a traditional bike in a modern sense, so it doesn't really need any other special stuff. You've got standard sized headset bearings finished in a ceramic speed SLT variant for eliminating most of the maintenance that comes with it, and you've got a pretty robust rubber seal on top of it as well. So yeah, all good in my book. Colnago have done away with the traditional steerer plug with the multi-tool inside it that is present on a C68 range, and it was also used in the V4RS. I assume that is because of the weight, and yeah, with a bike like this in the races nobody is doing that or using that, so yeah, it's also a part where it's been slimmed down. The down tube also slimmed down, also a more truncated airfoil shape. The top tube is pretty traditional, so nothing special there, not even a lot of drop to it. So it's a slightly sloping geometry, but very, very slightly. The seat stays also not extremely dropped, also fairly traditional, but the seat post itself and seat tube have been slimmed down quite a lot, which, as with many other bikes, now means that it no longer fits the Di2 battery, which now lives in the bottom bracket. The seat post is a traditional 2-bolt design, goes in like that, and then also you've got a pretty standard wedge operated by a worm bolt that clamps onto it, so very similar to other Colnago models. And yeah, usually a pretty robust design. As I said, traditional 2-bolt clamp, nothing crazy there. BSA threaded bottom bracket, which is a departure from the T47 that was formerly used on the V4RS. I think that's a step in the right direction, to be honest, because this one is easier to work with. But as you can see, there's some paint overspray and discrepancies, so you'll need to take care of that with the touch and the facing tool. Of course, since we're building this bike up for the customer, they don't need to worry about that. Front derailleur hanger, removable, which is a nice touch, and based on the looks, it also is identical to other Colnago models, including the Y1Rs and perhaps even the TT1. So in case you want to run a classified setup, one by setup, you can definitely do that in a very clean manner on this bike, maybe if you're going for a super light climbing build. Speaking of one by, I also have to mention the fact that this bike now uses the SRAM UDH derailleur hanger standard. Again, just like the Y1RS, so you could potentially use SRAM full mount drivetrains, but it's not what we're going to do today. For now, we're building a standard pro spec Durace Di2 build, so we won't be using that to the full potential, but yeah, definitely there's the option for that. The through axles, standard Colnago V5Rs, obviously included with the frame set. just like on any other Colnago we would find these days. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers the frame set. If we look at the other parts, again, it will be more or less team spec. So we have the LV 4.5 wheels, which the customer already has, except we're going to update these with the matching World Champ decals that are present on special edition of the bike. We already have ceramic bearings in there, so those will remain unchanged, but we will add the excellent Conti archetype tires, which have specifically been designed to work with these MV hookless rims, and they do so very well, so we tend to use these quite a lot these days. So that's another upgrade for the wheels. And yeah, the drivetrain, as I said, Shimano Dura-Ace Di2, most of it anyway, so there's not much to talk about here except a few upgrades, and we're going to get this bike. So for the cranks, obviously Shimano power meters are not very good, so we went with something else that we generally use for the bikes that we build. So that's of course the Cybre crankset in a pretty traditional 172.5mm length, and on this will go Power2 Max NG SL power meter, so top of the line, German made power meter, integrated battery, really robust and reliable. I've been using these for years, so it's kind of a go-to, for me at least. And then we'll have a SLF Motion Evo system as carried over from his previous bike. Same for the Hope floating rotors, that are a nice addition, provide better braking. We have ceramic speed, BSA bottom bracket, and some Cybre carbon fiber bottle cages, really nice, really light. And for the brake calipers, some titanium bolts as well, just for some added bling. Yeah, actually here's the battery mount for the Shimano Di2 battery that will live somewhere in the here in the seat tube, I assume, based on the look of it. Kind of an unusual solution. And then we have a plug that goes in the bottom. Cover it up. Yeah, so I think that's all covered. Now let's build the bike up and then we'll see how it turns out. Okay guys, the bike is now ready and built up, as you can see, along with the position setup that we have done according to the bike fit for this particular rider, except the stack. This is yet to be decided, maybe we'll go a bit lower than that. This is the maximum allowed height, as you can see, so the bike itself can be set up in a pretty relaxed position if needed, although it is 10mm taller in stack, for example, than a Tarmac SL8, so that might help. Other than that, yeah, all the components were used just as I said in the beginning. I think it's a really cool match, basically a team setup, and the weight came out pretty decent as well at 7.2 kilos with everything on basically. So you got the bottle cages, pedals, Garmin mount, Garmin radar mount, yeah, anything you need basically to ride along. So yeah, really cool looking bike, along with the special edition paint job. So yeah, good choice for anyone who wants a classic looking race bike. Let me know, of course, in the comments down below, what do you think? And if you're interested in having one of these built or any other Colnago, Pinarello model, then we can do that as well according to your specifications. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.